Good morning. Today on Spotlight, the aftermath impact of the first Harris-Trump presidential debate. Forget about the nation as a whole for a minute. What do the results of this spirited face-off exchange potentially mean for our swing state of Michigan? And all of this less than 2 months before the important November general election. We'll ask Professor Dave Dulio of Oakland University. And later on our Sunday morning program, meet one of this year's Fostering Futures scholars and find out how the Michigan Education Trust has helped to point her in the right direction for future success. We'll talk to Met Director Diane Brewer and student scholar Rebecca Yeager. It's Sunday, September the 15th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. As the distinguished professor of political science at Oakland University and the director of Center for Civic Engagement, you know politics like the back of your hand. You have seen this latest debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Your reaction to what you saw and the impact that it may have on this swing state of Michigan?
Well, I think what we saw was pretty much expected. Right, we knew that Vice President Harris had been prepping for at least a week and was in some pretty heavy debate prep. And I think that showed. She was certainly prepared, but I think it really came across in some of the, I'll call them planned answers that she had, and she delivered them very well. And I think that they landed well and played well with the audience. I think Donald Trump's going to be Trump. Right. And that was also reflected. He's going to speak in hyperbole. He's going to speak off the cuff. And he certainly did that. In terms of impact, I think it's always best to take a beat and let it settle for a few days, which we can do that now. And I think that you're seeing across the political spectrum, everybody seems to think that Vice President Harris did better. But what does that mean for election outcomes? I think that if you went into this as a Harris supporter, you're still a Harris supporter. If you went into it as a Trump supporter, you're still a Trump supporter. And it's that ever shrinking middle, right, that we have to wonder about. And I wonder if they watched or if they got frustrated with the maybe lack of specificity that we heard and sort of just threw up their hands.
Well, you raise a good point, Dr. Dulio, because it's that, as you say, shrinking middle. Those independents, sometimes they vote Democrat, sometimes they vote Republican, sometimes they don't vote at all, and they may be true on quote unquote independents. But in a state in which the last go around, President Biden only won this state by 2.78%, 154,000 votes, which is a whisker. That middle can potentially make a big difference, correct?
Oh my gosh, that middle is going to decide the election. Absolutely, right? I think that both sides are going to turn out their bases, and it's going to be up to those middle of the road voters, persuadable voters, gettable voters, really to decide the election. And that's where I think you're going to see the candidates target their efforts, their resources and other efforts in the last 50 some days of this campaign.
Yeah. And the good side about the fact that this race is still, in terms of polling, so close within the margin of error is that keeps both sides excited, and it helps the candidates say to their base, you can't sit this one out. No one's running away with this race. I need your vote.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's why we're seeing such a presence here from both campaigns, right? We see the candidates often. We see the surrogates often. And a candidate's time is arguably the most precious resource that they have, because it is always shrinking. It is always decreasing, right? You can always go raise more money, but you can't make more time. And for them to spend time here in Michigan, which they are doing, makes that exact point. They're trying to keep their bases energized and engaged so that they turn out and cast a ballot, either absentee, early voting, or on election day.
Quick question. What impact do you think this may have in terms of not the presidential race, which of course gets all the lion's share of attention, but the down ballot races, especially in a purple state?
Yeah, absolutely. Huge impact, I think, from a shift from President Biden at the top of the ticket to one that has Vice President Harris at the top of the ticket. Because, as you know, Chuck, right, when President Biden was the leader of the Democratic Party and running for reelection, there was some reticence, I think, among some Democrats. It's certainly a lack of enthusiasm to the levels that we see now. So I think Democrats down ballot are much happier with Vice President Harris at the top of the ticket because she has energized and coalesced that base that was maybe a little uncertain, or at least not excited about going and voting for Joe Biden. I think that that those down ballot races from U.S. Senate all the way down to State House are really happy that that she's been able to coalesce this base and get them fired up.
All right, Professor Dulio, we need to get to a quick little break. We'll come right back with more questions and explore whether or not you think there's going to be a second debate, or is there potentially a better way for these candidates to talk to the voters. We'll be right back. Stay with us. As we record this interview with you here, we don't know that there's definitely going to be a second debate. Do you think there'll be a second debate? And do you think a second debate is needed given what we saw in the first debate?
Yeah, Chuck, I think more debates is always better.
Okay.
Just because it gives voters a chance to hear from candidates in ways that we don't normally hear from them, right? In the vast majority of communications from candidates to voters is in the form of paid media, television commercials, radio commercials, online videos, et cetera, right? And the issue with those is that they are controlled. They're controlled messages, scripted, and I think it's good information to have voters hear from them in a way that is unproduced and unscripted, and it just gives voters a different look at how candidates are going to maybe behave in office or what their temperament is. That's a positive in my view. Whether or not we get a second one, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. It seems like Vice President Harris is keen on the idea. I think that's an interesting position to stake out. She has clearly built her confidence and is feeling really good about her ability to debate Donald Trump on that stage, and I think that's reflected in her proposal for another one.
Yeah. Do you feel as though they did a good job, the candidates and those questioning the candidates, at dealing with the issues? We saw a lot of flamboyant stuff, whether it was talking about eating cats and stuff like that, and a lot of posturing, and as you said earlier, quick one-liners that were probably already prepared in the head of the individual candidate. But what about the issues, especially with those independents?
And this is the problem with debates as they are currently structured, right? Where, especially when we have limited opportunities to hear from them in this format, there are so many important issues, which we saw the spectrum of them covered on last Tuesday night, but they're only dealt with in such short snippets, right? The economy, inflation, immigration, abortion, all of these incredibly large, important issues get 2, 3, 4 minutes a time. You'd like to see them be able to delve deeper into their ideas and thoughts about those incredibly important issues. And I don't think we get that with just the sparring back and forth.
Would you like to see more interviews from the candidates one-on-one with journalists, or maybe in town hall type of settings? That's something that, we're old enough to remember former President Bill Clinton sort of mastered the town hall. He used it to his success. He went in, he felt the people, he felt their pain, so to speak. And then everybody started trying to copy him in terms of that town hall format. I don't see a lot of that going on, and I don't see the candidates doing a lot of one-on-one interviews in local markets, which would help make sure that they're talking about issues that are important to Michigan and other states.
Absolutely. You want to see, even candidates for president of the United States come to Michigan and talk about electric vehicles, electrification, the environment, right? Given the prominence of the Great Lakes here, right? We want them to address the issues that we care about. And I don't think you really get that with that debate format. Look, I'm all for anything that gets candidates to talk to voters in a way that isn't a 30-second commercial, whether that's town hall style or more one-on-one interviews. I think the candidates are the ones that stop that because, they want control. They want to make sure that they are controlling their message. And that makes sense from their perspective, right?
But not necessarily the voters' perspective.
That it's in the candidate's best interest, but I don't think it's in the voters' best interest, right? And at some point we got to get to where we can have candidates talk to voters in ways that benefit the information space for the voter, not just the candidate's campaign.
There's been a little bit of talk about if there is a second debate, it might be over on the west side of the state in Grand Rapids. I would imagine you would love to see that. Are you hearing anything from your end that may be a very real possibility?
I've heard the same rumor and innuendo that you have, Chuck. No, I have no news to break today.
All right, last question. The one, and you mentioned to me earlier that you have some young adults in your house. The Taylor Swift endorsement in a race of this magnitude, that close, can that type of star quality make a huge difference, or is it just good for press and headlines, but it doesn't really resonate when people walk into the polls?
Oh, I think it can absolutely make a big difference. And look, if Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris brings her a few more votes, right? We talked before about how Joe Biden won here in 2020, 154,000 votes. Donald Trump won in 2016 with less than 11,000 vote margin, right? So even small shifts in the vote totals of a candidate, however those come about, can make big differences in terms of the outcome.
All right, Professor Dave Dulio, always a pleasure talking with you and getting your opinion and weighing in on these political races. We'll stay in touch with you between now and November without a doubt. And when Spotlight returns, we'll introduce you to Michigan's newest Fostering Future Scholar. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And we're back now with Diane Brewer. She's been here before. She's director of the Michigan Education Trust Program. And this year she's bringing Rebecca Yeager, who's one of our Met Fostering Future Scholar. Welcome to Spotlight. Welcome back to Spotlight.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Diane, for those who are not familiar with Met's Fostering Futures Program, give us a quick overview. Who's eligible?
Yeah, anyone who is in the Michigan foster care system at age 13 or older is eligible to go through the application period. And they need to be enrolled at a Michigan community college or university.
Okay. Give us some stats in terms of how many young people are in foster program in this state.
In the state of Michigan right now, it's approximately 10,000.
Big number.
And the need that we're seeking to fill, we kind of found out about through a national consortium. About 75% want to go on after high school, but 10% actually enroll. And of the 10% that enroll, about 3 to 11% actually complete their degrees. So those figures could stand some improvement.
Right. But the number has been going down, correct, from when you first started the program in 2012?
When we started in 2012, the number of individuals in foster care in Michigan was 14,000.
Okay, so you're making
So
progress.
progress is being made.
Absolutely. Rebecca Yeager, you are one of the Fostering Future Scholars this year.
Yes.
How did you get wind of this program and how has it benefited you?
The way that I got wind of it was actually through my campus coach, through the FAST program. And the FAST program is to give coaching skills to children that were in foster care in college. So they help provide mentorship and different resources. So they're the ones that introduced me to the Fostering Future Scholarship and the program. And it has benefited me greatly to help me not have to worry about the financial side of college.
Right, you don't have to take on all that debt when you get that degree.
Yes.
You're in college where?
I am going to Delta College right now, and I will be transferring to Saginaw Valley.
Okay, so you're at a community college now, and
Yes.
you'll be going to a 4-year college.
Yes.
Did you grow up in the Saginaw Bay City area?
I grew up in Midland and then moved to Bay City when I was adopted, and I moved to Saginaw for work actually, and have stayed since. I am a tool design engineer at Fullerton Tool, and I started out as a machinist there and kind of worked my way up, and they've also been very encouraging throughout my journey as well with college and with my career.
And when you finish all of this schooling that you just talked about, is that the field you want to stay in, or you aspire to something totally different?
I would love to stay in the manufacturing and engineering field. It's been what I've loved for many years, and I would hopefully like to move up to management someday with manufacturing and/or engineering.
All right, very good. All right, we're going to need to take a quick little pause for a cause. We'll come right back with some questions to both of you. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The application process, is it rather daunting? Is it something you can get online? And
It is something you can get online, and it is very easy. It's a one-page form. So the website for that, fosteringfutures-mi.com. We do accept donations all year round at the Fostering Futures-mi, and these are all going directly to students. Now this fall, we've got 440 students that enrolled in Michigan community colleges and universities. And people who make donations this year, they'll get put into that kitty.
And if you think you're eligible, you should apply early and often because it's not an unlimited program. First
That's
in the
correct.
door, a lot of times we'll get you the scholarship, and if you drag your feet, you may
We'll
not
go
make
as
it.
far as we can go, with the funds that we have.
Sure, absolutely. Rebecca, tell us a little bit about your foster family situation and how that has benefited you, and what you had to go through individually. And was there a time where you thought, I won't be able to afford college?
Well, I was put into foster care when I was 14, and I was adopted when I was 16. So it was a little bit rough, and honestly, at first I didn't even want to go to college, so it wasn't too much of a thought about not being able to afford college. I think it was more just the support through college in other aspects, and then worry about the financials later, and that's why I took on a full-time job instead of going to college full-time. So for financials, luckily I haven't had to worry about it too much due to programs like Fostering Futures and ETV. And even FAFSA as well.
But you believe that getting a good education is important to your future to be able to earn a living?
I do, and honestly, I don't think I would be in the place I am today if it weren't for being in college and having the support that I have.
Yeah, very good. You've come from a big family?
Yes and no. So my biological family was a little bit smaller, and when I was adopted, I got adopted into quite a bit of a larger family.
Okay, very good. What advice would you give to a young person watching this program that may be in a similar situation?
I would say definitely utilize the resources that are given to you. I didn't at first, and I am very heavily regretting it. There is a lot of support out there, and also utilize the resources that are on your campus as well.
Very good. Diane Brewer, you help advertise this program in different ways. I know you have one coming up, a big dinner in Detroit. It's an annual dinner. I know our very own Carolyn Clifford has been involved for a number of years. Is she emceeing this year as well?
She is.
She's
Yes.
so dedicated, absolutely. I know it's a passion of hers. That's coming up when?
September 20th.
Okay, all right.
Just about a week away.
And where will it be?
We'll be at the Motor City Casino. There's a formal program, a dinner, raffles, starting about 5:30. Formal dinner at 7.
And it's a
followed by the
fundraiser.
program. It is a fundraiser, $100 a ticket.
Okay, very good, which is very reasonable these days when you look at all these different dinners that are out there, and some of them have a much higher price tag than that. But if you're on the west side of the state or you're in the mid-Michigan area, there are other annual programs to help introduce people to the Fostering Futures program, correct?
Yes, we try to cover the entire state. Usually in the spring, we're on the west side. In April, we were in Kalamazoo, and that was a lovely event over there. And during the summer, every August, we go right out on the Capitol lawn and pitch a tent and sell pizza.
All right, that's
So it's the pizza party.
and that's a good way to get the attention of the legislators and the movers and shakers as well. When they look
Exactly.
out and say, who are all these young people out there?
Yeah.
They're really the future of Michigan as well. Good. Biggest challenge with this program?
Really is awareness, making corporate sponsors, partners, schools, even the students themselves aware that there are resources that people can provide or that students can take advantage of. So it's the awareness.
Absolutely, absolutely. Becca, I'm going to give you the final word on all of this. 10 years from now, where do you see yourself?
Oh gosh, that's a very good question. I hope to have a family of my own, whether adopted or biological. Hopefully to still have a home. Probably an upgrade from the home I have now. I'm in my starter home right now. And
Mansions on the future, right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
And then I also hope to have my college degree, and also hopefully to move up into a leadership position within my company.
All right. Well, congratulations on getting this scholarship.
Thank you.
And being a role model for other young people as well.
Thank you.
And best of luck to you in the future. Diane Brewer, thanks so much for coming in. Always good seeing you. And we'll see you back, I'm sure, next year,
Yes.
because I know you go through this all over again.
We do, but thank you so much.
It's certainly our pleasure. And we want to thank you at home for joining us. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. We hope you have a great week.